The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Another dub for the Sooners. We finished the season 10-2. We're going to talk about that as well as the fact that we don't have an offensive coordinator. That and more here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloading and listened to. While you're here, please wipe your feet, like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Man, let's go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So, on today's episode of the Sooner or Later Sports Show, I've already told you what we're going to talk about is the Sooners get the dub, knock off TCU. And we're going to dive into the fact that we don't have an OC. This Jeff Lebby is now at Mississippi State, and we've got to talk about these recruits because a few of them have already spoken out based upon the fact that we are losing some staff. And there's a few coaches that I've heard may leave. Now, they may not be position coaches, but they are coaches of note. Hit us up on the Unfair Fan Line, 430-901-1906. You can also see the link in below in the description if you want to leave us a voicemail and tell us how you feel about Jeff Lebby bouncing out. We'd love to hear from you all and hop in the comments and do what y'all do best. So let me bring on the collective. We're going to talk a lot about this today. Gentlemen, happy Sunday. How are y'all doing today? We've got, of course, Jason from Hall of Fame, as well as our boy Coop, who is feeling a lot better than he was before. What's going on, gentlemen?
Oh, Jason, you muted yourself.
Yeah, Jason muted
himself. He did mute himself. He was eating, so I didn't want to be too loud about it.
He hit us with the chew button.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Coop, man, how you feeling? It's been a interesting 24 hours, right?
Bro, it's been an interesting, I would have to say, 2 weeks. COVID and then pneumonia, and it's just not going away. So, yeah. But I'm excited to be here because I spent the weekend in the mountains and was hunting, and got to watch some football, hung out. It was good, and I couldn't. No social media. I have almost no cell phone service at all. So I just inundated with a lot of stuff as soon as I hit service, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, and that's I know that's always a fun time. So we got to talk through this or whatnot. We'll dive right into the game itself, right? We won, y'all. We blast TCU 69-45 on senior day. We finished the season 10-2. And, of course, we've got the regulars in the crib, which I'm very happy to see. We got Fatty. Fatty, I'm going to fight you, right? So you are choosing violence today. You are choosing violence because we ain't getting no sleep today. This is coaching carousel going down. Well, we know our coaching situation is now, but coaching carousel, everything's going crazy. So, CW Long was good. Thanks for pulling up. Sub Coach Dent. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people did get their wish, but guess what? I think it's still a good thing, man. He gonna be out there in the state with you in Mississippi, So we gotta talk. I'll shoot you a text a little bit later. Hank, let the people know. Hank's the reg. Hit that like button. Topher, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. So we'll jump on that. Kim, what it do? Let's dive into this. Game 1, we won the game. We cooked these boys, and we did what we were supposed to do, right? I want to go around the table. I want y'all to kind of tell me how y'all felt about it. Jason, we'll start with you because, Coop, I know that you've got some good stuff all up in your system to talk about. But, Jason, how did you feel about that dub?
I love the way they came out attacking. I love the way they came out attacking on the offensive side of the ball. It's kind of what you wanted to see. It's what you seem to see, kind of what we were talking about earlier when they were at home. You wish that you would have seen a little bit more of that on the road sometimes. But listen, you came into it kind of expecting to see Jackson Arnold play, but Dylan came out there and balled out as per the usual. Had another 400-yard game. Hey, I enjoyed watching them on that side of the ball. There were some leaky stuff, on the defensive end. But I also think kind of what we were talking about earlier, and I think you're right about it. It's just that, number one, TCU, they put up a lot of offense too. And, you've seen a little bit of regression, on that side of the ball. But particularly with the linebackers, I would think. But you did get to see more of Billy Bowman being Billy Bowman, which is always good. So
Always a plus.
overall, hey man, you put up 69 points. There's not a ton to complain about. There's just not.
Yeah, and going into that, I mean, the biggest complaint people have is the 45. But me and you, Jason, talked about this earlier on your show when we just did the pop up live.
Yeah.
That we got to remember that we were blowing them out for like it never got closer than 2 scores the entire game after we took the 28-14 lead. Once we got 2 scores up, it never got any closer than that. Of course, we fell asleep behind the wheel, but we still just controlled the entire game. But you're right, the aggression was great. Coop, how'd you feel about the dub, man? How'd you feel about that when you got a chance to look at it after you got out of the middle of the mountains and all of that?
I'm not gonna lie. We hunted until 10:50, and then we took it back to the cabin, and we were using old antenna, spinning it outside. How does it look? But no, this felt like a 2-half version of the Bedlam from last year, where they just came out and they just went balls to the wall. Yeah, we gave up the 45. And I'm going to sunshine pump for just a half a second, though.
Feel free.
We need a new punt. We need a new punt returner, and because it's not that I got anything against Gavin Freeman, but what's that whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Well,
you can't fool me.
Yeah, you have now done 4 or 5 separate muff punts. He's gotten away with a lot of stuff, but he gives them the ball right there in the red zone, and then at the end of the game, they did just hot knife through butter that last touchdown score. But at the same time, we had young pups in there late in the first half and early in the second half. I know that I saw a lot of new faces out there. I think this defense is worn out. I mean, I think that we started to kind of see what we saw last year. You're not going to completely change everything about the physical culture of the program 100%, in 12 months, 18 months. Like, you got to build on this. And I still think that we're getting, taking steps forward. So that's good. But, Dylan Gabriel, 3,660 yards passing. He has himself a decent bowl game. He's hitting 4. It's a lot of OU fans are going to get what they're wanting. Lebby's gone, and now Dylan Gabriel's going to roll out. Again, Dylan Gabriel is following some studs at quarterback. Sans Spencer Rattler. And prior to Baker, Dylan Gabriel might be one of the best OU quarterbacks in history. And so let's just keep that in mind. Enjoy, have yourself some fun, watching Dylan. We didn't have to do with the whole Jackson Arnold plays this game and then who plays in the bowl game and then offseason full of drama. So, I'm pretty excited about everything. Yeah, the regression. I just think the defense is injured and worn out.
I can get that, and that's a good point because Dylan Gabriel put up another good game, 400 yards. He hit 3 beautiful deep passes, right? Just dotted the receiver the way everybody likes. Didn't overthrow him, which we complain about, but he also underthrows, which we complain about. He did throw that underthrow interception at the beginning of the game, which to me was he shouldn't have thrown that pass anyway, but it was being aggressive. I appreciate it in the second half, but no, we were aggressive, and that's the thing I give Lebby. Lebby calls a good game 80 to 95% of the time, right? He'll go out there and he'll just go and just aggressive balls to the walls and just boom, 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 boom. But then he'll pull it back and try to run into the box as if that's going to trick somebody into doing something else, right? No, we need you to be the consistent on that aggression. And this game, he was that all game long. It was just aggressive. Like, I didn't feel like there was a moment that Lebby showed that he was trying to hold back, which I thoroughly, thoroughly, thoroughly appreciate. So offense killed it. Defense wise, you made a good point there, Jason. Both you, Jason and Coop, mentioned this. We started playing a lot of the young guys, and when I looked at the snap counts, I mean, there was a lot of dudes getting 20 something counts, 20 counts, 10, 15 counts that were young. So because we were starting to play the young guys, which everybody in here now, all y'all commenting, a lot of y'all have said this. Y'all have said y'all want to see the young guys, right? We got to see them. They ain't that good yet. So we kind of got to give them some grace. But again, we never let the game get closer than 2 scores, and I'm okay with that. Now, we did, in theory, regress as we got closer to the end of the season. And Coop, you're right. It did feel like we were starting to see that attrition and an exhaustion kick in. We saw a lot of injuries. Like McCullough was down for the most part, hurt. So he didn't play a lot the last 2-3 games. You saw some injuries with Gentry. When he got back in, the defense looked like a completely different animal. Same thing with Stutz. So a lot of our best players, when they did go out, saw the noticeable differences. And when they got in, things changed. And so I think next season will be good. We'll have experience with a lot of the younger guys, and I'm ready to see what it looks like. But let's give a shout out to Drake Stoops, right? I got a video that's dropping first thing in the morning about that Emmett Jones raise I've been talking about, right? We need to go ahead and work on that man getting his raise. And we'll talk about Lebby leaving in just a minute, I promise. But Drake Stoops, finished to get 12 catches. Did y'all know that he's the top wide receiver in the Big 12 in catches and touchdowns and third and yards? Right.
I mean, I was looking at some of the Stoop stuff, and I literally think that I was watching football with a couple guys that, obviously don't watch it kind of how we do. And they're like, is Stoops going to be a first round wide receiver? And no, he's not. And I'm not saying that at all, but
he's probably better off if he didn't get drafted.
Yeah. Let's rewind 55 years ago when he started playing football. And we never saw this. We never saw Drake becoming this. We saw Drake maybe, kind of 20 catches maybe is the ceiling. But dude balled out. And I mean, if you guys like Drake Stoops, Braden Willis last year, some of the big H-backs and fullbacks that we've had here in the past couple of years, like those glue guys and those just get in there and make it happen. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Drake end up with like New England, or a Miami or somebody who's got two big receivers who needs him. Kansas City. Yeah, I mean, does he run a 4.1? No, but he can catch. So that they've got all their burners, but Kansas City is just struggling. So, but no, he is completely done. He is completely done with eligibility, and I think we're gonna miss him. By the way, somebody said, I don't know if you guys brought this up. Maybe I'm jumping the gun. But Lebby possibly taking DG to Mississippi State.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Lebby leaving in a minute. So yeah, we'll get into the Lebby left. I want to talk about the game first, then we're going to dive into that. And so, Jason, you got any final thoughts before we do that?
As far as Drake is concerned, I think that the thing about him is and athleticism be damned. He was a guy that was going to go out there and get you that tough catch. It just mattered more to him. I think he's probably better off if he doesn't get drafted, because he'd get drafted way late, and you never know. I mean, you just don't. If you get signed as a undrafted free agent kind of guy, you got a little more. You actually have more stability in the pros. Yeah, and you can go somewhere you want to go too. So yeah, I see him as a Julian Edelman type. I think he's going to stack a little bit more weight onto his frame, but the guy is just that dude. He's just got that in him that he's going to go out there and play his ass off. I think. The other thing that he leaves behind, and I think everybody's going to miss him, but I also think that he left the blueprint of what it's like just to be a leader, to go out there and to be a leader. And I think that he challenged a lot of the guys that he was in the room with. I mean, which guy in that receiver room wasn't more athletic than him? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he went out there and made plays week after week and showed them what it was like to get out there and handle business, right?
Right.
So that's just the way I feel about it. I think that's the biggest thing that you're going to miss is that part of it, the glue guy part. It's just that leadership, and he's, no excuses, make a play.
Yeah, and to me, Mysterious Black, I'm sorry, I completely disagree with you there. We were successful at going from 6-7 to 10-2 with a 93% turnover on
Right.
roster. Like we got a lot of new players on both sides of the ball with just a few returners, right? I mean, you
Right.
look at Drake, you look at Farouk,
Yeah.
and some offensive linemen, couple of defensive line guys that we kept around, because we needed size, Woody and Bowman. Yeah, man, we turned over a lot of players, and so because of Stutzman was also one of the first players from that class. That's a success.
Absolutely.
6-7 and 10-2, huge success.
The
Huge
people that thought
success.
that they were going to go 6-7 to undefeated and national champions were a little, over their skis. I think. And I think the goalposts moved when you beat Texas and got to 6-0.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The truth is,
And-
you're probably going to fall back to the mean a little bit.
Yeah. You always will regress back to the mean.
They're
You
young.
always do. Right. Especially with the youth that we have. And you're right, from the Cowboys, Stoops is going to get drafted. I think he's going to get drafted just because of his route running ability. Always remember, these little dudes that can run good routes, they end up getting drafted because of that, right? So his ability to get open, run good routes, and create space, yeah. He's definitely going to get himself
He's got
drafted.
a place in the league for sure. It doesn't matter whether he gets drafted or doesn't. Julian Edelman didn't get drafted. He had a 15-year career. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, okay, so let's go ahead and just move on into the next topic, which, it seems the conversation's already going on without us. We're going to go. We're down to OC, guys. Jeff Lebby officially the head coach of Mississippi State, which I think I spelled that right. Which is always fun spelling the word Mississippi. Yes, Jeff Lebby, it's official. He's taking the job. He's going to move on. And, of course, we got to talk about who our OC is going to be. We need to talk about the changes and all of that. And so, Kim, you say this, there won't be a new system installed. That's why you stay with the staff that you have, and why basically we're saying that it's going to be Latrell and probably EJ as your two co-OCs if Joe John Finley leaves. I mean, it's kind of weird that I'm hearing that Joe John Finley might not leave, but that doesn't make any sense if you want Latrell, because Latrell's a running back tight end coach, unless you're going to make him QB coach. I don't know why you would do that, but I digress. There's always a chance that will happen. Latrell and Emmett Jones gives you the air raid system that we're running today, right? They give you the same thing that we're looking at today. And I saw somebody say this, Jay Breeze say that you to go after a proven OC. Did you know that Seth Latrell's offense, he had a top 10 offense at North Carolina as a proven OC?
North Texas too. Golly, I mean,
which is why he got the head coaching job at North Texas. That's why he got a head coaching opportunity, was because he had a top 25 offense at Indiana, which is crazy to say. No Big Ten team really has a top offense. He had a top 25 one there. He had one in Arizona as well, and he had a top 10 one at North Carolina in the ACC with Fedora. So he's an air raid dude, just like the rest of our coaches. We ain't gonna see a difference in installment. It'll be about the same as we're used to. So Coop, you mentioned that you were talking about it. Thoughts? Give me your thoughts and feelings around it.
I mean, listen. It is. Let's not get into the conspiracy theories of anything like that. But Jeff Lebby is, he was an offensive lineman here. This is his alma mater. He's moving on. Like that was going to be his thing, was to move on. So if he comes back this next year and has Jackson Arnold and then leaves, I think it's worse. I don't think everybody needs to freak out. Remember, we start a 12-team playoff next year, and we want to get better. get better, get better, get better. And we're starting to see, the only bad side about this Lebby leaving thing is the potential for recruiting. Joe John Finley I'm hearing rumors that Joe John would be one to go with him. Devon Mitchell just came out and said, hey, I'm still here, not going anywhere. Zion Kearney did. So, Hank, dead on. I don't think it hurts us from the recruiting standpoint. I didn't hear that Lebby was a stellar recruiter. Once he gets his guys, he gets good conversations going on, and he's a good guy. But I wish him the best. And let's stay off of Twitter and don't respond to dumb things like Cliff Kingsbury at Oklahoma. That ain't happening. None of that stuff's happening. And because I think that you've got a lot of offensive talent and skill from a coaching standpoint on this roster. Don't forget about DeMarco Murray. Like DeMarco, Matt Wells, Seth Luttrell. I mean, there's a good amount of guys. Emmett Jones and Bill Bedenbaugh. So this team stays together. We move in and we just start pushing, and hopefully we'll see some. Some success out of Lebby, unless he's playing us. But have at it. Don't get too impatient if you see us not try to go after the OC at Oregon or anything like that. Like, guys, just take time and think about like what Venables really is building here. And I think that Luttrell, Jay, you stole all my notes, so thanks about that. But, the North Carolina piece is one that not a lot of people even think about. And, he's had success wherever he's gone. And he was a dude when he was on this team. He was that Drake Stoops type of guy, that hard worker, H-back, fullback. Like, he was a man. So, he was a great leader. So I'm excited about it. And no, not Jimbo Fisher for OC. No Jimbo Fisher.
Oh, good.
Right. And Jake, welcome to the channel. Thanks for pulling up and joining us. The anticipated announcement for replacements will probably be Monday. I wouldn't say that we're going to rush into it. I know that we'll have announcements for who's going to be the replacement, who's going to be the coaches in for the bowl game. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, we probably won't hear who's the official position unless they say it on Monday, until probably after bowl season. So I'm expecting January that number to happen. I got a video that's going to be going up tomorrow about who our man is, but yeah, I'm gonna say.
I tend to wonder about that though. I think unless they're gonna, I think that you would almost, unless you really think that you're going to swing for the fences here and go for a Sean Lewis or something like that, like you said, the guy at Oregon or something like that. I really think that if you're going to do that, even you want to do that for the recruit's sake, try to get these guys hired in sooner than later.
Yes.
I don't see them waiting till bowl season to do that.
No,
I think if they're going to stick with the guys that are already in the program, then I think that they probably do make that. It may not be until after the conference championship game's over, but I don't think it'll be very much after when the portal's definitely going to open, because I think that that's what you want to try to do, is hold on to your guys there and give them any of your offensive guys that are coming. You want to kind of set their mind at ease, right?
Yeah, no, I get you on that.
That's my thoughts.
No, I think you're right too, and it's most likely for this staff and what they're going to do. I truly believe it's going to stay internal, because it's an easier transition than if with Luttrell and Wells, EJ and Bedenbaugh, those four, and you figure it out between them. They've all been here the last couple years in the same system as Lebby does, and even better is Luttrell and Wells both run air raid systems. That's not the Bear Raid, which is what Lebby runs, which is basically the Art Briles Baylor Bear modified version of the air raid. Yeah, and Luttrell runs the ball a lot, which we know Lebby's system is built off the run game, opening up the pass game. Luttrell's really is built off the run game. So you will see a lot of RPO options for Jackson Arnold. So put it like this. When Jackson Arnold made that change at the line of scrimmage and went to the slant for Farouk based upon the leverage points instead of what the run play they were going to actually do, Seth Luttrell, there's a video on my Twitter account. I'll make sure you guys post it so you guys can check it out, of Luttrell basically explaining that exact play. And what it is the quarterback has options. It's a zone. It's an RPO zone. If they stack the box, you hit that slant. If it's not stacked, you run that bad boy down their throat. We're going to see a lot of that. And I think the funny thing too is, as we go through some of these comments, is that if there was a job that I thought that Lebby was going to get, I really thought it was going to be Houston, but they moved way too slow. They could have got Lebby down there in Houston.
I think they
instead of going to Mississippi State, but they was fiddling their thumbs a little too long.
I think that's why it happened as quickly as it did, though, because I think everybody knew that Dana was gone. I mean, I think it's been known for weeks, right? Why they waited so long, I'm not sure about, but yeah, because I think that had they have done that, you do get it. Possibly that does happen, but then again, do you take a Big 12 job or you take an SEC job? I mean,
that's a good question. You're right. I mean, and that's a fair point.
It's a 6 in one and half a dozen in the other when we're talking Mississippi State as the SEC job. But that being said, I still feel like one of the things that you would look at is that you're going to have more resources there just by nothing else but the payout at the end of every year. You know what I mean? That's gonna up everybody as far as what they have to give right then and there, right?
Right.
I think that Houston might have had a shot if they'd have jumped in there quick.
Yeah. I think they went too slow. Houston was the job that I thought he was going to get to. Actually, be honest, that was the one that was on my radar. And like I said, Mississippi State came up, and I'm like, okay, it will make sense because that was the offense that Leach runs for the most part. It's a form of raid, the air raid, and the players there are built to play in that type of system. You bring Lebby in and you install it a year later, boom, you can go out there and have a top 10, top 15 offense in the country because they're going to put up yards. And so, yeah, I was thinking that Houston had a chance, but I think Fritz, like you said, Topher is going to end up getting that Houston job. That's the one they missed out on. Jake, to answer your question, thank you for that second question here. Is it 2 OCs a good idea? Yes. Just about everybody has a co-OC for the most part. That's a very common practice in college football, is having 2 OCs, having 2 position guys share the OC role, right? You don't have a guy that's only OC and no position, because you only get 10 coaches on your staff. So unless you have a guy that's going to take multiple positions and everybody only coach and the OC only coaches OC, which Latrell could. He could be just OC and it could pass the QB job to somebody else on staff. Definitely not uncommon, but I don't see that happening. I think that would be that's probably not something that I would expect to happen unless they decide to give Emmett Jones both QB and wide receiver duties and passing game coordinator. But for the most part, I think it's going to be, you'll have the OC, co-OCs, and you'll have, I'm sensing that it's going to be Latrell and Emmett Jones long-term. Anybody else? Coop, what you think?
Yeah, I'm going to head out here in a second, guys. But yeah, This is an opportunity for Brent Venables to do pretty good. And yeah, James, I was just about to say that. JP Loshman, he's been working with the quarterbacks, and he was a good quarterback at Tulane, and he spent some time in the NFL, and so I mean he knows what he's doing. I'm just, when you got a quarterback coach, you've got a passing game coordinator, you've got I've never been too worried about the quarterback coach portion, but yeah, I'm excited about this staff going forward. I'm excited about the possibilities of bringing a couple other people. I'm not too worried about the two co-OCs, because essentially Emmett Jones is still going to work on the receivers, and that's going to be it. Like he's basically getting the pay raise so that he doesn't end up going somewhere else. Because Heartline will get a job sometime soon, and you bet your sweet backside that Ohio State would come and dump the bank for Emmett Jones.
Oh, I can see that, and I'm surprised they don't try to jump bank, keep Heartline. I'm surprised that they don't try to find a way to give Heartline a head coaching job once they try to find a way to push Ryan Day out. But that's just my thoughts.
Hey,
I thought 18 was going to happen.
All right, Coop, go take care of yourself, man. We will talk soon.
Obviously, I don't sound terrific, so Appreciate you guys. Love you both. Everybody on the
Good, bro.
chat. Thanks for being here. If you're watching it later, I'm probably still sick. So, but I'll speak it to existence. I'll get better.
All right, later, man.
Have a good one, bro.
So we got Coop out here being sick. Gonna go get him some chicken noodle soup or something and get himself taken care of. But no, let's let's kind of break this down. I think the next thing to really look at when it comes to this job is who's the coaches that could potentially go with them. And so what I've been hearing is that the biggest rumor out there is it's most likely going to be some position coaches, right?
Right.
And I totally get why it would be, some position coaches because I don't see anybody else in staff actually leaving. And so because of that, I'm wondering if Joe John Finley is probably the position coach, I say that goes with them, right?
Yeah,
so if we're talking staff, I think Joe John Finley follows. I think that if you go analysts and quality control, there was one of the wide receiver guys that we just hired recently from Kansas. He probably will follow. I can see Phil Lockhart getting his first position job as an offensive line coach with Lebby there.
Yeah, Big Phil.
Yeah, Big Phil could definitely go.
I think Stoya spoke about that earlier.
Y'all really? Yeah, see, now that makes sense. I could totally see Big Phil following him because this will be his first position job. And then he can go ahead and take it, be in Mississippi State, grow that line, do his thing, and we may get him back one day. I don't know, but that's what I consider. Who else you think position wise would make sense that would or analyst wise would make sense to go with him?
I mean, some of the ones you've heard that make a little bit of sense maybe would be maybe I could see Jay Valai being his DC. If he was gonna move, it would be for that, right? He's not just gonna move for anything. I don't think you leave for the same job you have here. That being said, I mean, I honestly, as far as I keep hearing the same thing as Joe John. I mean, and that makes sense. He was the best man at his wedding. You know what I mean? I feel like that's going to probably happen. And then Big Phil, I think those are the ones you keep hearing. So to me, I could see some of these guys that are possibly analysts, some of these guys that, I mean, I don't even know the names of all these guys. The staff gets bigger and bigger all the time, so
yeah. Oh yeah. We've got like 100 staff members on there just as the analysts and stuff. Hell, I forgot JP Lossman was on the staff as a offensive assistant.
Yeah. And look, I could definitely see it. Look, here's the other thing. You got to remember that to me, I wouldn't be super surprised if you heard Kendall Briles was headed that way with him. Kendall has hopped jobs. He hasn't been anywhere longer than a year in about 5?
Yeah.
I can see him doing that, especially if he's going to get to go. And I mean, you would obviously, he'd be giving up play calling, but I think that you probably want to do that anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And, hey, I mean, we were kind of joking about it on Discord earlier, but I mean, his old Art Briles, the is he working as a analyst quote or slash the boss? I don't know. I'm just joking around really, but honestly, I think that I wouldn't be that surprised to see any of the guys that were either with him at UCF or even Ole Miss that are kind of headed that way too. And then the Briles tree is pretty spread out. I think it is. He's had guys that have left and worked with him before. I could see that could happen. Now, as far as Jay Valai, I mean, I could be wrong about that. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't think that he leaves unless he was. But if you get an opportunity to become a coordinator, then you might.
Yeah, and I don't see Valai going there as a coordinator. I don't see him getting that position today. Now, if there was a defensive coach that I could sense potentially going, I would have said Brandon Hall. And that's because Hall's been a defensive coordinator at he was a defensive coordinator at Troy. He's done the play calling before. That will be someone that makes sense.
I like that.
But I sense here that we really like him. And I can totally see him getting elevated to defensive coordinator here before he leaves.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I think that most of these guys came in wanting to work for Venables when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I think that if the guys that you might see leaving would be the guys that are on the offensive staff that he brought, and some of those. But I also feel like I think a lot of people have been saying throughout the day, whether it's on my stream or I've seen it a lot on Twitter, it feels like the reason that Luttrell and Matt Wells and guys like that are already on the staff as analysts is because this was probably expected, coming into the season.
Right.
I don't think he was ever a long-term plan is the point. So,
I totally get this, Seth. You want to know about that special teams guy, and I don't even know. So I know that that's Jay Nunez is the special teams assistant, and I think special teams analyst. I think we'll get that figured out. I think that's going to change on the defensive moving forward in special teams. We'll get that part figured out to where we no longer have a lot of muffed punts going forward. So I don't think you need to be concerned about that part. But outside of that, no, I think the only ones that would follow Lebby, and it was been mentioned by reports, I think George Stoya had tweeted it out, that it's going to be more so analysts and stuff, people looking to get into their first jobs, which makes sense. Like, I would expect those guys to follow him because why not? It's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So, but there's a long list of OCs we can go with. And so the question here, who was it? Boomer 1099. Now, this ain't a rerun stream. We're not going back into AB talks. But I have seen a lot of people ask the question about Devon Mitchell. Devon tweeted out, for those that have not seen this, Devon has already tweeted out that he's locked in. He ain't going nowhere. He retweeted what our boy David Stone had already posted and said, on God, they basically all ain't none of them going nowhere. We good on the recruit side. A lot of people are concerned, we're going to lose a whole bunch of recruits behind this. No, we're not. We're not losing anybody. There's no one for us to lose. And somebody mentioned in here, Jamar Kane.
I feel like the difference in this and what you saw is the entire difference of the culture. The culture, these guys weren't allowed to commit until they were all the way committed to the program, not to a coach, to the program, to the way of doing things, to being a Sooner. And the more we've talked about that, I think over the last few days, and these guys, we've talked about it how last year, even the last year's class, the way that they were so tight together, and this class is just like that too. That they're big. They're big on that. We're hearing some things about some possible flips of guys that we were hoping to get and maybe we didn't think we were going to get. I've heard some different things out there that it may even get better. But what I would tell you is that any of the guys that don't end up staying are probably not guys that you wanted, and probably not guys that were really bought into this culture. And that's what it's going to take in order to become a championship program, is that you do things the same way all the time. You get the guys that fit your program all the time, period. Mm-hmm. So, if you compromise on that because you have a coach leave, then you're going to be compromising on that shit all the time because they always leave.
Right. Yeah, and that's going to be happen to us going forward. If you produce high-powered offenses or defenses, you're going to start losing staff members. The only thing about our defensive side of the ball is we know that it's mainly Venables running things, so you probably won't lose very many of those. But offensively, people going to try to poach. I've said I think Emmett Jones is one that people are going to try to poach eventually. But the good thing is he told us when he took the job that he came here to win stuff with Venables, and he ain't going nowhere for a while. Jet, you mentioned Jamar Kane. Kane ain't leaving the NFL. 1, 2, he's not going to upgrade the ends by coming here. I think our edges are just fine. We've got a lot of young players, and so we're building on that. A lot of 5-star pluses. We're growing in that area. Jamar Kane won't do that for us. We've already got that. He's been here for a while. I haven't seen him do it yet. So the good thing is that we're going in the right direction. I mean, a lot of y'all don't want to believe that, but we did finish the season 10-2. That tells me that we're going in the right direction. And so, talk about these recruits though. I know everybody's concerned. So Devon Mitchell mentioned that he ain't going nowhere. We've already seen that. Um, we've already seen
Same
that.
with Michael Hawkins.
We've seen Hawkins. He just recently did something today and was talking about how him coming to OU here because he's also an early enrollee. Devon Mitchell's an early enrollee. David Stone's an early enrollee. Daniel Collier is going to be an early enrollee. So your defensive line guys. I believe Nigel Smith's going to be an early enrollee. The good thing is that the one player that everyone was really concerned about was Mitchell, because in the tight end room, we haven't done the best. I've heard a couple of rumors around that certain players will be looking to come here if the staff does turn over at the tight end position. But until that happens, I'm not going to speak onto it. But I don't think Devon Mitchell's a problem. I think Devon Mitchell he's already tweeted he's locked in. I think he's locked in.
He said he's not going anywhere. 100%.
Right.
That's his word.
That's his words. Now, I mean, of course, we're talking about 18-year-olds. So,
sure.
Yeah, Zion Kearney dropped his tweet that he's all in. Thank you, Hank, for posting that. Right. Yes, Brian, definitely Hawk is a legacy. Stoney's Gucci. And
Jackson's Arnold's dad said the same thing. He said Jackson Arnold. It has no effect on Jackson. He's a Sooner.
Yeah, and I did see somebody point out that Mississippi State think they're going to be able to steal Kevin Sperry.
No, he wasn't even a freaking Lebby guy.
His family moved here specifically for OU.
Yes.
Again, Lebby does a great job in what he does when it comes to recruiting. I don't think most recruits came here specifically because of him. His offense, maybe, but we have that exact same thing. And like I said, Zion Kearney touched a ONG on God because David Stone posted what he posted. We ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Devon Mitchell said, and who said that? Boomer 129. Devon Mitchell is locked in. He said those words. I'm locked in, not going anywhere. Boomer Sooner.
Yeah, he did. This is true about Emmett coming in here because of the OC job and opportunity to learn. He wanted the head coaching job at Kansas when he was there, and they didn't give it to him. And so the only thing about Emmett Jones is he's got to get the experience.
Yeah.
And he gets the experience. That dude's good. He's golden, right?
He's one of those guys you see being a head coach real soon, actually.
Right. He's one that may even bypass and go right to head coach. I have seen his name being thrown around for the UTEP job. I really hope he doesn't consider that. That's probably not a place you want to go coach as a first-time coach and think you're going to survive, because you're probably going to end up getting fired, right? It's one of those jobs that people traditionally get themselves fired for. Now, Kim, this is an interesting one. Does DG leave and go? I'm going to be honest. I really think DG goes to the NFL. And I say it this way. I don't think DG goes to start anywhere, but I think he's a good, capable backup in the NFL. And one team that could probably use someone like him, being that he's a lefty and plays in a similar type of game, the Dolphins, baby. Put him right there behind Tua.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, Jaden. Let me just ask you what you think about it. It's a deep class, right? It's a deep class. That a backup job isn't going anywhere,
Right.
And I think that he is. We all know how you heard a lot of the stories out of UCF of how much he was pushing and campaigning for Jeff to get the job there, right? And a lot of them think that he kind of sabotaged once he didn't get the job, and that's why he didn't play. There was reports out there that I don't know that I buy any of this, but that he acted hurt when he wasn't hurt anymore because he wanted to play for Lebby only, right? Even though, and the reports were that Gus even said, hey, he was changing his offense for him. That being said, that if there's a little bit of truth to that, that means that he is super, super loyal, and we know that he is, to Jeff Lebby. He loves Jeff Lebby. And if he can go and help and stay and I don't think he's in a big hurry to go to the NFL anyway. I don't even think that it's his biggest goal. He's said before that he's more interested in helping kids and helping train kids, maybe being a coach himself at some point. I feel like he's that kind of guy that he wants to go back to Hawaii and coach and do some stuff like that. I can see him staying in college and helping Jeff out, at least with the install, maybe even out there a year. And again, I feel like this draft class is that deep that do you even go early enough to where you are a backup. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it seems like a great idea, but do you want a second guy that's small and lefty and doesn't have a monster arm? Because
I
his
mean,
arm's
why not?
okay and he's pretty accurate, but we know that if his timing's off, he's underthrowing it. You know,
And I get that. I mean, the most important thing you need though in the NFL is you need to get that ball out quick and get it accurately thrown. I mean, strong arms are awesome when you know
oh,
you're gonna get time. And the Dolphins' offensive line, I don't know about. Just gonna say that.
true,
But
yeah.
and this is what I think too. I think he's going to be a good coach. I think
I think he's gonna be. He's a
his whole
leader.
thing is going to be he's a leader. He's going to be a great GA QB coach in college football, and hell, I could totally see him get promoted to moving towards an OC job in the next 5 years. Right? He's one of those brains that I think can do that. He's just somebody's gonna give him a job. Now, I think the opportunity will go with him in Mississippi State, and I think Will Rogers stays in the portal. I don't see him coming back.
Well, I think if they were going to get him back, this is how they do it, right? Because it's more like I mean, they were in a pro style offense this year, which was nothing like what he was used to. He barely threw the ball,
That's true.
which that must have been so crazy for him. But maybe that's why. I mean, maybe that's part of the reason they went back to trying to get something. And it's not the same as what Leach's system was, but I think it's more similar to it than what they were in. I don't know that he comes back though either. I think but Will's pretty good, man. Will's pretty good. The dude, pretty good leader himself, and he had a decent arm, real accurate.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm wondering if you would see any if Will Rogers would consider going back, because he's definitely going with. I mean, he's going to a good. I mean, he'd be going to a good system for what he is.
Sure. Yeah, I loved Brian Weber's, because somebody was asking about whether Okoye was locked in. I loved what Brian Weber says. He says Danny isn't just locked in. And I saw this post. He posted a
Video.
video of
Yeah.
him flipping the shirts over the UT shirts over. It was awesome.
Yep. He walked in, saw a whole bunch of
You
Texas
guys-
shirts, and turned them upside down. That just made me scream, and I laughed so
I
hard.
was laughing really hard at that one. Yeah, good stuff.
So the A&M circus is still continuing.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently it's over.
So they finally did hire Elko.
Yeah, that's the announcement.
Elko is officially official. Because that's the one thing I don't believe, is that they're capable of actually getting it done and get it done right.
Well, I told you earlier what I thought about that. I thought that, I mean, first off, I think they're all crazy. But yeah, it is according to On3, it's Texas A&M ended up in a fine place with Mike Elko as head coach, but the Aggies hiring process lacked logic. Yeah, well, that's not a big surprise, right? Look, I'm surprised that they got as good a guy on this deal as they did, to be honest with you. I told you earlier, I felt like the guys that they should have gotten were either Elko, Traylor, or Willie Fritz. And so I didn't think they'd get any of them. So I think it's probably better than we expected.
Elko was the number one pick for me for them. It made the most sense.
Yeah.
He coached there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
There's probably still people pissy about it down there, though.
Yeah. I mean, let me see. How long was he at how long was he
at Duke? He
was there for 3 years.
Year. So,
well, his second year at Duke, but he was
at Duke, but he immediately won, right?
He was there, yeah. He started immediately. He went 9-4 last year, and then this year he's 7-5. Because of injuries, right?
They probably would have won another 3 games anyway.
Oh yeah, they win 10 games if they didn't lose their quarterback,
Easy.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So no, Elko is definitely first off, he's a very good hire.
Yeah,
and I mean, I liked him at
you
Wake
recruited
Forest,
a lot of those guys already,
and he helped recruit a lot of those guys, especially because he's going to keep E-Rob. Now, I know a lot of people will jump in the comments and talk about all these players at Texas A&M that we would love to get our hands on, but unfortunately, ain't none of them going to leave if they keep E-Rob. If Elijah Robinson is there, we're done.
Yeah, I didn't think it. I mean, you hadn't seen anybody enter the portal anyway, really, of significance. You were talking about that in the group chat. I hadn't seen
Yeah.
anybody.
Nothing.
None of the guys you wanted were leaving, and because they were all dedicated to E-Rob. I mean, that's
Yeah, they were all
there,
waiting to
all of them.
they were all waiting to see what happens to E-Rob.
I know I've got my guy down in New Orleans area, and he's the guy that I talked to about LSU stuff. McKinley's haven't wavered. They said as long as E-Rob was there, he was going to be there. He's not going anywhere. So it is what it is.
Wow, and now you see Lane Kiffin is really trolling his boy.
Of course he is.
He is trolling his boy, which is the funniest thing in the world.
What else would he do? This is what Lane does.
I saw him post a picture of he posted that picture of Jeff Lebby wearing the sip socks, which is the funniest thing in the world. He said, "Welcome to the other sip."
Yeah.
And it's like hilarious that he's going to be over there terrorizing his boy.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Dana Holgerson for OC. No.
Who? So
I think
I'm gonna say
if you're
this though.
controlling, maybe. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a hell of an offensive coach. I just don't know that he fits what they're trying to do. I don't know if he's a culture fit. I just don't.
Dedicated to E-Rob because the bags have been flowing from other places too, and they won't take them. It's E-Rob. They're dedicated to E-Rob in the bag there. That's 100. Because I put it to you like this: the rumor that's going around is a lot of those players are pissed off about their bags at A&M, but they're only sticking around because of E-Rob.
Yeah.
And yes, his dad literally just told OU Daily this morning that Jackson Arnold is an Oklahoma quarterback.
Yeah. And you got to think about this too, folks. This is a rebuild for sure, no matter what, down there. And he can be the starter here. He can be the starter here. I wouldn't mind that one, but I don't know that anybody else would be okay with it.
I would not like Bobby Petrino here. He has enough drama in his life.
The dude can draw it up, but yes, do you want that cat? And it's the same way that I feel about Dana. Dana's not him, but I think there's different issues there, right?
Let me look at the college football stats on how Texas A&M's offense has produced this season with Bobby Petrino OC.
How much of it was Bobby really the guy in charge of that shit?
I mean, 54th in the country, so dead smack in the middle. 403 a yard, 403 yards per game. Look at their scoring offense for Texas A&M. 26th in scoring offense, 34 points a game.
Also lost their quarterback real early though too.
Yeah. You lose a lot. You lose your quarterback, which is why their yards in the pass game is at 42nd in the country. Not too big on the pass, but his run games are not too bad. What's his run game look like? I'm looking at all of the stats for them. Gag is, as we call them, 89th in the run game, and we've seen the 5-star running backs they've landed.
Right. Well, and here's the thing though. But I would also look. First off, I don't think that he's the guy for here.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think that he's a BV guy. I don't think that would work. He's more. I thought that it would work out okay with him and Jimbo because they're both freaking used car salesmen. Aside from that, they are. They're both. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this one I would love to have, but it's 100% unrealistic. No chance that dude leaves Michigan without the head coaching job first.
Oh no! Why would you? He just proved that he can outcoach freaking Ryan Day.
There you go. E-Rod, yeah. Sherrone Moore is 100% there. The problem you run into also is Sherrone Moore. Did y'all like Michigan's offense this year? And I'm just asking that as a legitimate question for everybody in the chat. Please hop in there and tell me what y'all think. Did y'all actually like Michigan's offense this year?
I don't hate it, but it's not anything like an Oklahoma offense. You're completely changing everything up. You're not throwing hardly at all.
Right. It's all smash mouth, just like Mad Dog Mac just posted in here about Mangino. Yeah. That's what you basically get out of Sherrone Moore as your offensive coordinator. Michigan was 59th in the country in offense at averaging 394 yards a game.
Look, they run the hell out of it, and look, you could do that. You could do
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
But
I agree.
if you're talking about keeping the quarterbacks that you got, is that what you want to do? No, because these are guys that are RPO, mesh, throw the football. This every one of these guys do that, and JJ doesn't.
Fair point. I mean, they did
JJ
win
doesn't.
games. Yes, yeah. And JJ's a 5-star quarterback.
The guy can throw it, but he doesn't throw it much.
They don't have him throw it. It's like they don't trust him to throw it. So I'm curious if that would be a good offense in the SEC, though. I don't feel like it would be. Like, even Saban's tried to do that, and it hasn't worked very well. Most of these defenses are ready for that in the SEC.
I think the closest one to it would be Georgia that's worked, but they've also added a lot more firepower on the outside and throwing the ball to tight ends a lot more. They've opened it up a lot more. They're definitely run heavy. Because it's Georgia, you should be run heavy.
Georgia? You're right.
You got to be run heavy there, right? But I still don't. I think that that's a complete. If we're talking about continuity, that's not where you're headed.
Right. Yeah. One of those you don't. Yeah. I don't feel that it makes sense to ride with
a pro style dude, bro. He's a pro style dude. Sharon's a pro style dude. I think that there's a place for that. I do. I liked what Jonathan Smith was doing. I think that Michigan State did a great job getting Jonathan Smith because I think that was really good. That being said, again, it depends on what you want. If you're a BV and you want to keep things as they are and you want to keep all the guys you have, you better keep it like it is. And I don't think that that's – look, I like that coach. I think he's going to be a head coach.
Now, if there was a OC I would like, Sean Lewis would be dope here.
Absolutely.
He can draw things up. I mean, look at what Shedeur Sanders did this past season yards-wise. That dude he's one of the top quarterbacks in the country statistically. 5 points. He pulled him out, and what happened? It looked like doggy do.
5 points.
Right. Shedeur played in 11 games. He averaged 293 yards passing in the season, 27 touchdowns, 3,200 yards, and 69% completion percentage. He had a really good year, and he only threw 3 interceptions. You could do that here. And he's an air raid dude. Yeah. So, I mean, you keep that in the house. So, no, I would not mind having a Sean Lewis here. I think that would be fun. I think
that you need to at least make that phone call and see his interest, gauge his interest a little bit. Maybe have a chat with him. But the truth is I don't know that you lose anything, even with Matt Wells. I mean, I know we hadn't spoken a lot about Matt Wells. I like Matt.
Right.
Matt was winning at Texas Tech. He was winning there.
So the type of offense that Seth runs, he runs an air raid. He is a Mike Leach descendant.
But he
runs an air raid, too, right? Heavy RPO, lots of run.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of power run, RPO, air raid. He is literally the same offense that Lebby basically runs, except for Lebby's modified version is called the Bear Raid, which is more of the Art Browse, Baylor Bear offense, which is a little different. So there's a difference between the two. Slight.
Okay. Same thing. Yeah, I think that's what the whole deal. I think the fact that he runs the same thing, and they've already been here. I think that continuity in and of itself, even if he's going to put a little bit of his own wrinkle on it, which you probably want him to do anyway, I think that he spent 7 years calling plays as the head coach at North Texas. They only averaged under 30 points twice, and one was in the first year when they didn't have it. And he did this he was one of the top 10 offenses in the country, 5 times out of 7 years, I think it was. And the thing is that he did that with less talent than what you'll ever have here, right? You're not going to get – it's North Texas. You know what I mean? You're going to get Conference USA guys for the most part. That's who you get. And probably back then it was more Sunbelt, which is even worse. So, I mean, to me, I think that and the same goes with Matt Wells. Look at what he did at Nevada. No, it was Utah State, right? Utah State is where Wells was. There's a reason
Utah State and Texas Tech.
They wanted him at Tech bad for that reason. And look, they were really good on offense. I mean, I just think that the main thing was with him was that for whatever, there wasn't a great culture fit there at Tech. I don't know if he wasn't getting along with their. I don't think the AD was the one that the new AD is not the one that hired him or something. Is what that kind of came down to, and I think that it just kind of blew up somewhere that they just didn't get along. I like Matt Wells though, but I also am a big fan of Emmett. I think Emmett Jones is a good guy. Listen, Coach loves him. Coach loves him. He's talked about him a lot. He's another one of those skyline guys. He knows all about his career. He says he's a superstar. I believe you. And give him a shot. Give him a shot. Why not?
And I'm here for that. I'm here for that. So, that answers your question, Clara. To Clara, that's the key thing is he ran Carolina Fedora. He was underneath Larry Fedora, who also runs air raid.
Larry Fedora was good, man. He's one of those guys that was one of the godfathers of it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, and remember, Fedora ran his offense at Baylor, which the Bear Raid back with, it's a high scoring attack offense. All those philosophies are the same. Let's put it like that. They're all like wrinkles and pieces together that they do.
Mario in here trying to pick a fight. Talk about Matt Canada.
Where Mario? Yeah. Are you a Steelers fan? Are you a Steelers fan? You gotta be a Steelers fan.
He must hate Oklahoma.
He's talking. Fedora's probably my favorite last name. Yeah, and I would like us to get to that point too. Yeah, I would like us to get back to that. And Jet point that out. Good thing to point out is power run, a lot of RPO. A lot of RPO.
Yeah.
Because of that. So, and John, you're right. 100% Emmett Jones is one that I'm looking at or whatnot. Cole, I'm going to fight you. I know you've been around here long enough to understand we don't talk about Joe Brady here. Joe Brady hates recruiting. He ain't even worth your time.
Any of those NFL dudes, man, unless they just hate the NFL and they love working 11 months out of the year, they're
right
not back to college.
And that's the big thing you run into with a lot of those coaches is that he ain't trying to do it because he ain't trying to work that much. Like he ain't got to. Like why work that much if you ain't got to? That's the beautiful part.
One of the godfathers, Boomer. Hal Mummy is the godfather of the air raid. But it's changed a lot under Leach and the guys that have taken it on after that. Hal Mummy. Yeah. I know Hal Mummy. He's a good dude. He's crazy. He's a little crazy. But
yeah, Scott Frost. That's pretty funny. I like that one too. Somebody mentioned Scott Frost. Hey, there it is. A few people's mentioned Scott Frost, and I'm just gonna say, nah, Scott Frost ain't one. I would like Scott Frost to come here as an analyst.
Huh?
I would like Scott Frost to be here as an analyst. I would love for Brent Venables to open up the school of rehabilitation like Nick Saban has. That way we've always got somebody in the chamber. You cannot complain about that. That's a great system. And that's how you had Lane Kiffin and Sark end up at Alabama, and they were able to just bring in elite talent. That's definitely what you want to do. So I'm totally for that. Cole, all love, bro. All love. You know that. I had to give you crap because I've had a couple people mention about the Joe Brady, and I keep telling everybody, dog, that dude hates recruiting. He's not even somebody worth even thinking about. So, all right, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna talk probably about championships and playoffs and stuff once that actually gets settled. We'll definitely have a show on that.
Seth was asking about this weekend's games, the pick for the 4 championship games. Who's going to win them?
I'm gonna pull that up. We'll do that Wednesday night, or do it on Jason's show, possibly the Tuesday or Thursday.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, let's do it Thursday. I'll be on there definitely on Thursday. We'll do that at the end of the week because I need to think about this a little bit more. I don't want to give a knee-jerk reaction because I'm not sure yet on who's actually going to win these games, because that Oregon-Washington game, dog, that's going to be a good one. And we can't sleep on Louisville, Florida State, especially because Florida State ain't got no quarterback. So that I definitely disagree with. It works. Lane Kiffin was doing it at Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a different look. There's different spins on it, anyways. It's not the same thing that Hal Mummy brought in. They never and Leach was how many times did you hear Leach talking about that Lincoln didn't run the air raid anymore? That wasn't the air raid because they ran the damn ball too much.
Yeah, and
That's it.
Lincoln's iteration is
That's right.
the tempo and all of that. So yeah, remember
Everybody's
Lincoln
changed.
Riley
Arts is
started.
different. Arts is different than all of those guys' too. Lebby's is different than Lincoln's is.
Larry Fedora.
None of them are really the same, man. That some of
Right.
and even some of them even have different verbiage, you know. But it's all based on one thing, but it all went somewhere else, you know. In the end,
Yep. That's exactly it. So yeah, it's a very fascinating setup and what we've got going forward. And so we'll wrap this bad boy up. Thank y'all for pulling up as usual. We appreciate it. Cole, that's some pretty good ones. I love everybody's pieces on here. This is some good stuff. And definitely Tennessee has done it as well. Yeah, Lincoln was very balanced. And we still got Beatonbow, who was one of his co-OCs. So
I
yeah.
wouldn't be that surprised if they made him an OC at some point too.
Yeah. The big thing with the air raid is that it doesn't work in the SEC if you ain't got a defense to make it work. So anyway, we'll wrap it up. We're gonna get up out of here.
Physicality is the key too.
It's all about physicality. You gotta have a defense that can actually stop somebody. And we're getting there. Like you're gonna have your Nigel Smiths, your David Stones, your Daniel Colliers on top of all the players we've got now and the transfers we're gonna bring into that defensive line. It's gonna be good stuff. Nigel Smith, man, I'm so excited. So thanks for pulling up. Y'all enjoy y'all's evening. Make sure you go check out the Hall of Fame college football show. It's hosted by Jason and the coach. Can't get it out my system.
At 8:30, y'all know where it's at.
Yeah, y'all know where it's at. Most of y'all follow both of us, and if you don't, go check them out. They be doing some good stuff. And yes, Fatty, I'm gonna get some rest for a change because there's gonna be a lot of coaching changes in the next 24 hours. So keep your eyes open for that. But outside of that, thanks for pulling up. We'll chop it up soon. Peace.